Welcome everyone to the fifth round of the Prague Masters 2026. We have a big clash on our hands here. It's the world champion Domaraju Gukesh taking on Nodirbek Abdusattorov. They played against each other a few days ago in Vaikanze, and it was Gukesh who blundered and lost that game. And they have played so many games now, I mean, across formats. I was seeing like they have more than 60 games that they've played. But when it comes to classical games, wins have been traded. For example, in Sinkfield Cup, it was Gukesh who managed to win. They also played against each other in Bucharest. In Grand Chess Tour, it was a draw. There was also Tata Steel last year, it was a draw. So many back and forth results between them, but clearly they have been at it against each other. And the interesting part to notice that their first game that they played was in 2019 World Blitz Championship. It was not in 2022 Olympiad. They were playing even before that, and now of course they are two of the best in the world. Gukesh has become the world champion. Nodirbek, well, he's won Vaikanze recently. He is in top shape and very likely to become maybe top 3 in the world soon. The players are ready, a handshake there, and off we go. Pawn to c4 by Nodirbek. He starts off with the English opening, and Gukesh responds quickly with pawn to e5. We have knight to c3 played. The knight comes out to f6. And pawn to e3. Well, generally more popular is to develop your bishop from g2, but e3 played, and now Gukesh plays bishop b4. This is a very decent move, and the idea of it is that you want to often give up your bishop for the knight and play d5 and play with your remaining pieces which are well placed. Gukesh goes directly d5 here. And nice, by the way, knight e2, bolstering the knight on c3, pawn takes. Knight takes on d5, and we have queen to b3, which puts pressure on d5 and also on the bishop on b4. It takes on c3, and now b takes c3 is the main move, but Nodirbek goes queen b4. He takes the bishop, and Gukesh, well prepared, goes back. Knight to d5, attacking the queen. White has the bishop pair now, but what black has is quick development. Quickly castle, quickly bring your knight out. He brings his knight out to c6, knight b4, bishop e6. These are the ideas. The knight comes to c3. And now, not to trade, trading is fine, but knight b4 is the move. With knight b4, you're actually creating the threat of knight d3 check, and he finds it. And Gukesh is played knight b4, bishop c4, attacking the pawn on f7 and wanting to castle. But of course, Gukesh first gives a check on d3. Now, if you take the knight, queen d3, black is better. The light squares are just too weak. So king e2 played by Nodirbek. He's attacking the knight. You can take on c1 and castle here. That seems like a natural move to play. But Gukesh, he's ambitious. He goes knight f4 check. Wow. If you take here, knight d4 check, and you lose the queen. So that's the reason why knight f4 check. The knight will go back to e6. King goes back to f1. And knight comes to e6. Blocking the path of the bishop. Queen comes to d1, and Gukesh now can castle here, but also very good move b6. He's going to play bishop b7 and put the bishop on this long diagonal. Black, after just few moves in the opening, 13 moves is better. Okay, don't take this pawn, by the way, because of queen a4 check. But bishop b7, he gets his bishop out. Of course, taking here, no problems. Black is fine with these doubled pawns. a3 played by Nodirbek. to strengthen the pawn here, but queen h4. And now you can even think about long castling, getting your rook quickly into the game. I'm loving this position for Gukesh. By the way, he was attacking the bishop. Bishop is protected with d3. And here he long castles. Amazing play here. Black has very, very good position. 30 minutes for Gukesh, 41 for Nodirbek. Bishop b2 played. And now just rook he8. Get the final piece in the game. Start with f5 then. He goes knight g5. Maybe not the best move. But Gukesh thinks like this knight lurking around the white king should be good for him. Also remember, some threats with take and queen could arise. And now Nodirbek of course wants to kick the queen away with g3, but queen h3 check would be fatal. So h3 first makes a lot of sense. So he pushes his pawn to h3 and then g3 coming up is the plan. f5 played by black. Gukesh slowly and steadily trying to gain space. Rook c1, getting the rook on the open file here, and king b8, moving the king away from the c file. Gukesh's time is definitely an issue. He has 20 minutes to make 20 moves. Knight to d5 and now rook d7. Again, a move like rook e8 would have been nicer. Now some tactics with knight c7, rook c7, b5 and e5 pawn is hanging could become possible. But instead he goes queen c2 and Gukesh quickly gets the rook into the game. You can see 10 minutes now left and Nodirbek starts to play a bit quickly because he knows that time can become an important element. f3, queen h6 played with the idea of putting pressure here on e3 and king f2, just improving the king. Check. I think a good idea to gain time. King g1. Oh, he goes king f1 and knight e6 played, bringing the knight back. And Nodirbek brings his knight back to c3. It's a position with lot of tension and pressure. So for both the players, goes queen f2, defending the pawn on e3, and the king side pawns start to roll. King g1, Nodirbek is hanging on, queen g6. The plan for Gukesh now is just h5, g4, goes knight e2 and a6 played, stopping the pawn from moving ahead to b5, h4 played. And now h6 is a good idea, but he goes g4. But this is risky chess because in a way Gukesh is giving up the square on e4 after fg. But let's see, queen h6, he's still very, very much better. Take on g4, take on g4. Gukesh has 1 minute left for 10 moves. Rook f8, the rook can get activated. Knight g3, and now this tactical move, knight f4, difficult to play with just 1 minute 20 seconds. He goes b5, but look at this move, knight f4, takes, knight e4, and now just knight e5 and g3, and black is doing really well. But b5, he takes, rook takes, and now queen e2, putting pressure on the g4 pawn. The knight goes back to d8. So rook h4, attacking the pawn on g4, and he brings his rook to g7. All of a sudden, Gukesh finding this knight d8 a passive move. His pieces are getting passive. White pieces are looking great. e4 played by Nodirbek. He could have even played rook c5. Queen comes to g5, attacking the rook. And knight to f5 played. He goes rook g8. And things are looking grim for Gukesh here. Rook f1 by Nodirbek, improving his position bit by bit. Gukesh with just 9 seconds goes knight c6, bishop c1, attacking the queen. And he goes knight to d4, but now just take, knight e2, king f2, rook g5 and king e2 was better for white, but he goes queen d1 and queen d8 played. And now 40 moves have been completed, but in a way, Gukesh is just completely in trouble because he's lost a pawn. He is here not in a good position. After the time pressure from a winning position, he's landed in a close to lost position. This is not good news. Queen takes g4, but now you have to fight. Queen takes g4, bishop comes back to c8, pinning the knight here. And he brings his bishop to e3. A knight takes on f5 and e takes f5. The pawns are very strong here, and Gukesh plays rook f6. A tempting move, if bg5 you have queen g8, but queen e4. Nice move by Nodirbek. He wants to go g4. Queen comes up to attack this pawn, but now g4 and white is completely winning. But Nodirbek blunders with queen e5. He allows rook takes f5, and Gukesh is now better. I mean, better than before. He's equal now. Takes, queen takes f5, and if you trade here, even though white is a pawn up, opposite colored bishop should be a draw. So queen d4, threatening mate. Nodirbek is not going to agree to a draw so easily. He's going to fight. Queen d4, and Gukesh can go bishop b7. He goes bishop e6. Interesting move, because if queen here, king c8, he's okay with giving another pawn. h6 played by Nodirbek, bishop d5 played. This should be a draw because black has his counterplay on the g2 pawn here, and that one pawn deficit isn't showing itself. King b7, check to the king, king c8, and now bishop comes out to g3, attacking here on c7. He goes back, queen to d7 and queen c5. The queen comes up to c6. He gives a check, king b7 and queen g7 played. Queen to c2. He's threatening a mate here, and bishop f4. So you can see white putting pressure here, but black putting pressure here. Position is in the balance for now. But king h2, Nodirbek coming up with a new plan. King h3, g4, king h4, trying to move his king in. And once again, the problem for Gukesh is that his time is down to 1 minute already. King c8, but he's found a kind of a move that he can keep making, because all his pieces are fine. Bishop e5 by Nodirbek, king b7, and now pawn to d4. A good move there by Nodirbek, and Gukesh continues by moving his king to c8. King comes up to h3, king b7, and pawn to g4. He wants to bring his king up. Check, king h4, check again, king comes up to g5, and queen c2 played. A good move. That was the only move to keep the position safe, but now with the king coming in, this could be very dangerous. King c8, and Nodirbek brings his queen back. Now the only move is a check, king here, and now queen d6. Very important move to be played. If If you don't play it, you are lost. Oh, he plays queen f7. He misses the moment. He defends the bishop and the pawn and this pawn. Everything looks safe, but g5, g6 is coming. And look at Nodirbek there. He knows it. g5 with the idea of g6. If you take with the queen, it's a mate. If you take with the pawn, I sack my queen here. I sack my piece and I make a queen on the edge with the h pawn. And you can see there Gukesh knows it. He knows that g6 is kind of an unstoppable threat now. He goes bishop f3 with the idea of queen h5 check, but g6 is curtains. It's game over. It's a beautiful move, g6. And he plays it because if pawn takes pawn, queen takes c7, and this is over. This pawn is queening, and Gukesh looks at the position. Nodirbek knows that he's winning. Well, what a game this has turned out to be. From a winning position to a losing to a drawn to then now losing again. Gukesh resigns. Nodirbek scores an important win, and with this he moves on to 3.5 out of 5 before the rest day, scoring another important win against the world champion. This rivalry is growing, and Nodirbek is definitely having an upper hand, especially in 2026 with 2 classical wins over the world champion. And you can see Nodirbek there. He is quite happy. He's quite relieved before the rest day. He's half a point behind Jordan Van Forest, who is playing incredibly well. But this is what it is right now. Nodirbek Abdusattorov showing his class in this tournament. Gukesh has a lot of things to work on during the rest days. 4 more games in the tournament. He can make a comeback, but for now he's on 1.5 points out of 5, and he would be looking for a strong second half in this tournament.